This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
That's right. This is just what you need. Hi, I'm John Solberg, your host for the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Today's episode is being brought to you by The Butcher Shop, purveyors of highly sought-after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9 Plus briskets, and as always, they are handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for the past 15 years. Every week, they're shipping out competition-quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition scene across the nation. Simply put, teams who use The Butcher Shop win, and they win often. Not a competitor, but still have an eye for the finer cuts? Great news! The Butcher Shop is shipping some of the finest prime, dry-aged, Australian Wagyu, and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of their cul-de-sacs. The Butcher Shop always has Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock, and again, always handpicked just for you. Now you might be saying, John, all this sounds great, but what about some exotic stuff? Well, rest easy knowing the Butcher Shop can get your next elk steak or camel roast. They're going to ship it out promptly. Yes, camel. Let's review the best competition briskets. Check. The best pork selection. Check. Giving you a better overall option to cook at home. Check. So give the Butcher Shop a call today. What are you waiting for? 850-458-8782. That's 850-458-8782. Mention the Barbecue Central show for 10% off your entire order this time and every single time you call. You can also interact with them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop. Don't forget, shop is spelled S-H-O-P-P-E. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9 Plus briskets. And here's what's going on in today's episode. From March 27th, 2012, Greg is going to catch up with Gone But Not Forgotten, Konrad Haskins.
Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, coming back on 14 past the hour, 877-448. Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com are the two ways to get in touch with the show. Joining me now, an award-winning barbecue pitmaster, a teacher of all things barbecue and grilling, someone who has seen not only whole hogs cooked, but whole cows hooked. Head cook for Teddy Bear's competition team, sponsor of the show, Konrad Haskins joins us here. Konrad, welcome back. How are you, buddy?
Good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, Konrad. Always appreciate you making time for the show. I mentioned it right there at the top. A lot of people see whole hog cooks, but you are like one of the few that's actually seen is it whole cow or whole steer, or how do you actually term that properly?
Whole steers and, whole steers.
So I remember we talked about the very first time I ever had you on the show, and to see a 200-pound pig on a spit probably isn't as majestical or perhaps downright frightening as it would see to have like a ton, a steer that weighs a ton on a spit. I mean, how does that work out exactly?
It takes a whole lot longer to do it, and it takes a whole lot of labor because I don't do my whole hogs on a spit, but the whole steers were done on a spit. So those were, just turning them constantly for like 24 hours, tending the fire, basting them. It's a whole lot of work. Oh,
I can't imagine. And is the barbecue that comes off of that even better than normal? Is it like steak or pulled beef, or how does it come out? Like beef ribs and stuff?
It's completely different. It is sliced. It's not pulled, but the whole hog. When you do a whole hog, the pulled pork that comes off of it has a special flavor which you just can't get from pork shoulder. And it's the same way with beef. When you've cooked the whole animal like that for so long and with so much care and love, the flavor just has something magical about it.
And Konrad Haskins joining us here on the show. Konrad, if you don't mind me asking, where does Teddy Bear come from exactly?
Teddy Bear's my nickname, has been since I was a kid.
All right, so something that has stuck right with you. You run the Barbecue Institute, a wide array of classes for folks to choose from out there. When did you decide that this was going to be the way you were going to be making your living at the Barbecue Institute?
Well, I started decided to start teaching in 2004 and had a lot of fun with it. And then got divorced. And when I got divorced, the ex-wife got the restaurant and I got the barbecue school, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. And I couldn't be more happy just teaching all the time.
You didn't want to stay in the restaurant business anymore?
The best analogy I've heard of the restaurant business is it's owning a herd of dairy cows. And I completely agree with that analogy.
I guess what I find most interesting about Barbecue Institute and the classes, you look at some price points at some of the other folks who are giving competition cooking classes, Konrad, what kind of crosses your mind? Are some of these guys in it for a cash grab? Is it publicity? Are they doing it for the right reasons? Because I guess if we're being honest with each other, on the whole, your classes probably aren't nearly as expensive as some of these other guys, and your elite list of students almost reads like a who's who of who's gone through your program.
Well, I have been very fortunate. I mean, I've been doing this since 2004. So, a lot of people when they started out, like Harry Sue and those kind of folks, took my class and they've gone on to great success. I decided very early on I wasn't going to focus on being a competition school. I was going to focus on helping people cook better barbecue. And that does help you win contests, but it's not my main goal. My main goal is to help the backyarder and the restaurateur cook better barbecue. And, I can't talk to all these programs. The only competition class that I've been through is Rod Gray's. And I know that he's not holding anything back. And, the proof of that is look at all his students that have beat him, including me. 2 weeks after I took his class, I took first place chicken with him cooking right next to me.
Proof positive, I would say. Class well worth its money. Absolutely. Konrad Haskins joining us here on the show. He runs Barbecue Institute, which you can find at bbqinstitute.com. All right, so let's go ahead. School is in session. Get your teacher's cap on there, Teddy Bear. Everyone else, grab your pen and paper. So let's go ahead. We'll talk about some common mistakes that you're seeing as far as cooks making right now, firing up the grills and cookers. What are you seeing out there that are common mistakes?
Well, the common mistakes are, always too much rub, too much smoke, too much heat, and what I call getting too cute. People are trying to do too much. Some of the best briskets I've ever cooked in my life, the only ingredients involved was a brisket, high-quality salt, and high-quality pepper, and nothing else. And, if you've got good technique, you can turn out some of the most amazing brisket you've ever tasted in your life just with those three ingredients.
I mean, so how hard is it for you as someone who is a teacher, and when I've talked to the pit masters, and it almost kind of ties back to that whole competition class and, are they given for the right reasons? People have always told me, look, I can sit here and I'll tell you exactly what I use and how much I'm using. But there seems to be one kind of important part, how the hell you actually cook it. And if you don't know how to do it right and produce good chicken and pork ribs and pork shoulder and brisket, doesn't matter if you have all the flavor profiles if you can't cook it right. So how does one go about getting the tools and arming themselves with the information on cooking the meat right first, and then we can kind of move on to the flavor profile here second?
I think that's a great question. Basically, I can give people the knowledge how to cook it, but they need experience. And what I'm seeing massively out there is people want an autopilot. Well, the thing is, when the autopilot doesn't work, you still need to fly the plane. So you need the pilot, and you need the piloting skills on how to fly the plane when the autopilot isn't working. So it's not a cupcake recipe, which is one of my favorite sayings. And you know how to need to run your pit without a computer running it. You need to know what to do when things go wrong. And I think those are the two big things: experience, knowing how to run your pit without a computer running it. That really gives you the confidence to succeed. Whereas, somebody who's following exactly the recipe that Rod Gray gave them, and they've got a computer running their pit, on a good day, they might very well take first place. But what separates the men from the boys is when things go wrong, do you have the experience to still be able to succeed when your computer broke, it was blowing sideways, it was the middle of a blizzard, you were trying to cook at 9,000 feet at 20 degrees Fahrenheit? That's where really experience, which I can't teach, comes into play. And too many people now want this cupcake recipe, and it's not a cupcake recipe. It's experience and skill and knowledge based on a solid foundation, which really is what's going to make you a pit master versus a computer operator.
Konrad Haskins joining us here on the show, talking a little bit about how to get that meat prepared correctly. So, after you've put in the time, you learn the pit, you're able to, I don't want to say master. Do you think you can ever reach, are you ever mastering the art of cooking it, or is it something that you're always evolving and you're always learning?
Find out what Konrad had to say, head on over to the BBQCentralShow.com. There will be a link in the show notes to take you to this complete episode. While you're over there at the BBQCentralShow.com, try out that search box feature. Search up a topic. Find me a subject to do a Best Moment show. I'll see what I can do for you. Hey, have you subscribed to the Barbecue Central Show newsletter? You can do that over there on the website as well. Let you know what's going on Tuesday, as well as a bit of a recap of what has happened all week on the big show. Do yourself a favor, sign up for that bad boy. It's not a spam-filled fun fest, just a couple emails a week. And until next time on the Best Moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.